PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.
Welcome to PharmaVentures Insights at Biotech and Money 2016 in London. Today we have with us Oliver Schacht, CEO of Curetis. Welcome, Oliver.
Well, thanks for having me.
Tell me about Curetis.
Curetis is a publicly listed molecular diagnostics company with a clear focus on finding the superbug in hospitals, identifying pathogens as well as antibiotic resistance in critically ill patients, and resolve the dilemma that clinicians face today, that they need several days waiting for microbiology results to come back, and all the while they have to treat empirically with broad-spectrum antibiotic, which is not the best for the patient, and it's compounding the problem of ever more antibiotic resistance. So we're trying to address that, and we're a commercial stage company selling the platform and several tests in Europe already. We're getting ready to submit to the US FDA and then launch in the US next year. So it's a great time for the company.
How was the company founded?
It was a group of founders. The company's based and headquartered in Germany, southern Germany, in fact near Stuttgart, which is the heartland of German engineering. And there was a group of engineers and product development folks who had been at Hewlett-Packard Medical in the mid-1980s, which became Agilent in the late 90s, which sold its medical business to Philips. And they were all at Philips from 2001 to 2007 and developed the first concepts and prototypes of this type of platform. And when Philips in 2007 decided to move this back into central research, they felt this was strategically going in the wrong direction. They wanted to move it into the clinic and develop it. So they left, they started Curetis, fresh start, from scratch, and they developed the Univero platform. I joined the company in 2010, initially as a non-executive director on their board. At the time it was 10 people in R&D. Fast forward today, we're a fully integrated company with 80 plus employees. Most of our headquarter and R&D is in Germany as well as manufacturing, but we also have commercial operations here in the UK, in France, in the Benelux, in Switzerland, and we've built a core team in the US already.
So your instrument measures a lot of different microorganisms, a big, huge breadth of them. What was your foothold market and who currently buys your products?
So you're absolutely right. We use a system which runs disposable cartridges, so it's like a molecular laboratory in a one-time use disposable cartridge. In one of these cartridges, from a single patient sample, you can test for up to, and actually in fact over 100 different pathogens as well as antibiotic resistance markers. And that's really key. It's not just the pathogen identification, it's at the same time also antimicrobial resistance marker detection. We first launched the platform with a test for severe pneumonia in hospitalized patients in 2012. Since then, we've added panels in the areas of implant and tissue infection, so think prosthetic joint infections, for example, in the area of sepsis, and we're right now developing a panel which we're hoping to complete by the end of this year in intra-abdominal infections, so all critical care infectious disease. Historically, of course, we started with our home market in Germany, so that's where we first launched it and rolled it out. We have big university hospitals, places like Charité or Hamburg or Munich, but also hospitals all across the country running this. And then since our IPO last year, we've also been able to build a commercial presence in all these other European markets. We've got a team of 3 here in the UK. There's Univero systems here in London, at UCL as well as Royal Free Hospital. There are systems up in Edinburgh. We've got systems in Paris as well as other French cities. We've got systems in Switzerland, in Austria. In fact, in the Middle East, there's several systems in Russia. We've got partners in China as well as Singapore for the ASEAN region. And we've got about 24 systems in the United States for our FDA trial, which is now complete. And we're expecting to turn that a commercial operation next year.
You mentioned growing the suite of the parameters that these instruments measure. Is continuous R&D a part of your strategy? And if yes, what are you actually doing in that area?
Absolutely. We will continue putting out new applications for this system every year. And it's really about placing instruments and then selling the disposable cartridge. The business is entirely in the consumable, entirely in the cartridge. So the more applications for many more infectious diseases that we have, the more our customers in hospitals, in microbiology labs are going to use the system. And so the name of the game for us is to have a constant stream of at least 1 or 2 new additional application cartridges coming out every year. And so that remains the focus. So we have a strong R&D organization, both in terms of assay development, but also software and engineering.
How long does it normally take for you to have an indication?
It takes approximately, so from the time our customers or key opinion leaders or our own marketing organization comes and says, here's an indication, here's the application that we really need to develop, it takes approximately 12 months, costs less than €1 million to develop a complete new application for a European CE mark. And obviously in the US you've got to run relatively large multi-center prospective trials. Those can take anywhere from 12 to 24 months. It's usually a couple of thousand patients that you need to test. But again, it's a very manageable endeavor, so we're going to do them one at a time, but we're going to keep them coming.
To date, you've raised over €1 million via private investment and also IPO that you went through last year. How has that helped the company grow, and what's your plan for the future in terms of fundraising?
Well, in fact, we've raised a total of €108 million to date. We raised €63.5 million on the private side between 2008 and our IPO in 2015, and a couple of venture capital rounds with some of the top names in Europe like HBM Partners, Forbion, LSP, and others. Roche and QIAGEN have both been shareholders for a number of years in the company. And then we IPO'd last year and raised another €44.3 million, all primary going to fund the growth of the company on Euronext Amsterdam and Brussels. So we're well funded. We just announced our Q3 numbers this morning. We have €35 million cash in the bank, so we're going to execute on the plan. But the I in IPO stands for initial, so we're obviously always going to continue looking at the capital markets and, if and when appropriate, look at additional fundraising opportunities to accelerate the growth, both on new product development but also on the commercial front, rolling this out on a global scale.
What's your vision for the company going forward?
Well, we are trying to establish Univero as a platform of choice in the sort of hospital domain for superbugs and critical care infectious disease. Now, realistically, in molecular diagnostics, if you look at this platform play, at one point or another, usually smaller platform companies do get acquired and integrated into larger plays. We've just seen this very recently with Cepheid, who'd been around for almost 20 years, built a very successful business. In the end, Danaher acquired them for $4 billion. We've seen BioFire in the US a few years back being acquired by bioMérieux. So this is a general theme, so it's definitely something over time that could be a scenario. But we're going to focus on building a business, and the more successful we are at doing that, the more likely other scenarios may become. But our core focus is on really building a business in Europe, in the United States, where we're also going to go direct, sell to hospitals directly, but also in Asia, where we have partners in China, in Singapore for the ASEAN region. So we're really looking at rolling this out globally.
As a serial entrepreneur in the biotech space, if there was one piece of advice you can give to someone who's also in the space, starting new?
It always takes longer and always costs more. So raise as much money as you can when you can, and make sure the company is well funded to really realize the dream and the vision.
Thank you very much, Oliver, for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.